Cole and Sam were headed to a college party tonight. It was about 8 when they reached there. The place was crowded with students cheering each other on, doing crazy acts and gigs that made them look more like a fool than they were being cool. Cole and Sam shoved their way inside and sat at the counter. Sam called the bartender over and ordered a few drinks. Sam was the one who had pushed Cole into coming to this party. Cole didn't enjoy these parties much. He was more of an outdoor person, the kind to have fun in the open. But when Sam insisted, saying they'd get a chance to have some cheap thrills, Cole finally agreed. Sam and Cole were roommates. They lived in San Diego, California, where they stayed at the college dorm, and over time had become quite close to each other. Last week, Cole had made the mistake of listening to one of Sam's stupid plans. He spent a good amount of money on wooing some girls, and now he had to pay the price. He was on a tight budget, near broke for the week to equal out his expenses. Which was the reason he agreed to spend the weekend off with Sam at this party. Sam and Cole leaned back on the counter, gossiping and joking as they searched through the crowded room for the right girl. Suddenly, a girl walked up behind Sam and took a seat next to him. She waved at both of them and introduced herself. "Hey you guys, are you having fun tonight? I'm Sandra." She played with her hair and looked at Sam, smiling and giggling on. Cole took a glance at her. She was beautiful, and first impressions were that she was a little wild, with all the colorful locks of hair shuffled between her naturally dark black hair. Sandra was being all too flirty with Sam. It made Cole a little suspicious of her. Sam, of course, being a ladies' man and a fool, laughed and tittered on with Sandra. But Cole wasn't so gullible. He knew girls like Sandra. She was doing this so they would buy her a drink and hopefully entertain her. She was just baiting them for some fun. Honestly, Cole wouldn't have minded, but today, he had to look out for gold diggers. Well, 'cause he didn't have that kind of money to spend right now. Cole quickly stepped into the conversation to save his buddy. "I'm sure you won't find him so attractive when you know he's broke." Sam scratched his head and laughed. "Hey." Sandra, however, stayed put in her seat. She raised her brows and ushered the bartender with her hands. When the bartender arrived, she laughed and winked at him as she slipped the money on the counter. "Tonight will be on me, so you guys don't need to worry." During the next hour or so that Sam and Cole had been at the party, they were sitting at the counter with Sandra. Sam had a bit too much on Sandra's insistence and was practically out of his senses. Cole, however, knew when it was time to stop. Since they had reached there, this girl Sandra popped up out of nowhere, was being nice and bubbly, and had already spent a lot of money on them. It was all too good to be true. Cole had his doubts about what this girl actually wanted, and by the looks of Sam, Cole wasn't so sure he would risk staying at the party any longer. "Sam, I think you've had enough for the night. We should be getting back to the dorm." "What? Sandra and I were just getting to know each other." Cole knew Sam wouldn't remember a thing the following morning. He grabbed him by the elbow and walked out through the crowd. Unfortunately, when he got out into the hallway and turned back around, he saw Sandra had come along with them. "Hey, Sam, how about we go back to my place? I'll drive you back to the campus if you like." Sandra jingled her car keys in her hand, and she gave that flirty look to Sam again. Yeah, that would be great, I wouldn't mind." Sam rambled on, half out of his mind. Cole cleared his throat and interrupted. "Sorry, Sandra, I can't let you take Sam. He's not in his senses. I don't want him going unconscious midway there." Sandra snapped her fingers. "What is it with you? Don't you know how to have fun? Or is it just that you don't trust me? I told you I'll drive him back. Or he can even stay at my house if he wants. What's the big deal? Chill out for once." Sam nodded like a bobblehead. "Yeah, Cole, get yourself a girl, man. You need to chill out." Cole sternly refused, not taking heed to anything Sandra said. and especially not what Sam was blabbering on. "No, isn't it late? Shouldn't you be getting home? You know it's not safe to be out so late, especially for girls like you." Sandra raised her brows and held her hips. "What do you mean, girls like me? Do you suppose I can't handle a guy?" She leaned closer to Cole and whispered, "I've got a better idea. How about we drop off your friend at the dorm, and you and I can spend a crazy night together?" Cole paused for a moment. He looked at Sandra, curling her hair and waving her dress. And then at Sam, who was most likely trying to hold back, puking everything out. Suddenly, he started to have second thoughts. He was in his senses. Well, maybe just a little tipsy, but sober. If Sandra tried to play any dirty tricks on him, he could handle it. And besides, what was she going to do? Cole only had a few bucks in his wallet anyway. Cole helped Sam into Sandra's car. It wasn't before long that Sam fell asleep in the back seat. They dropped him off at the dorm, and Sandra and Cole drove to her house. It was about a 20-minute travel there. Sandra parked her car and took Cole to the front door. She opened the door and walked in with him. The lights were off, and Sandra didn't bother turning them on either. She went straight down the hallway, and Cole followed after her. He asked, "Hey, do you live alone?" Sandra walked on. She peered over her shoulder and said, "Yeah, why?" As Cole was walking down the hallway, he thought he saw something move behind him. He turned around. There was no one there. Cole shuffled his hair back. His head started to hurt. Sandra was now in one of the rooms. She peered out the door and called Cole. "What happened? Come on." Cole started to get the creeps, but he shrugged it off and went to Sandra. Sandra sat him down on the bed. "Give me 1 minute, I'll be right back," she said before she went out the door again. As Cole sat all alone in the room, he suddenly heard a whisper out in the hallway. It sounded like Sandra was speaking to someone. Cole hurried to the door, trying not to make a noise. He poked his head out. No one was in the hallway, but at the far end, one of the doors was open. Cole was shocked when he saw 2 shadows across the floor. He knew this girl was up to something. Why did she lie to him? Cole sneaked out and walked towards the room. He spied through the crack along the door hinges. He was bewildered by what he saw. He had never seen anything like it before. Sandra definitely wasn't alone. She was with a few other girls. What was strange was that they were all wearing dark red robes. Their faces were partially covered by their hoods. Sandra was speaking to one of them. The girl was holding a scroll in her hands. There were candles set up in a circle around the center of the room. All the furniture had been moved aside. There was a symbol drawn with ash on the floor, and right in the middle of it all was a red silk cloth, on top of which were knives arranged one after the other. Cole started to panic, but at the same time, he was also curious to know what was going on. And who was this girl? Who were these girls? And what did they want from him? Had he fallen into a trap? Was this the reason Sandra was being overly friendly? Cole broke out into a cold sweat. His vision started to blur out. He rubbed his eyes and shook his head as he looked through the crack again. He tried to focus in on what the girls were murmuring. "I'm proud of you, Sandra. With this sacrifice, we'll be able to earn honor within the secret society." When this secret society was first formed, the members envisioned a world ruled by strong women. A world where we would be the boss, and those wicked men will be under our feet. What do men think of us? They only want to use us, but we'll show them who's in control. You've proven yourself worthy. This is what we need. Women who are strong and mighty. Strong women who can overpower men of this world. Thank you. I'll do all I can to support this cause. But it's not just me. All of us present here are connected to this cause. It's what makes us sisters in faith and strength. You have done well. Now tell me, how long before we can commence the rituals? We can begin soon. He's in the room. He's waiting for me, but I can tell that he's been a little suspicious. And I assume you've taken your precautions? Of course, we'll be able to perform the sacrifice before midnight. Great. Sisters, we must all work together. The sacrifice will not be accepted if we're late. We must provide offerings around every sacred point of the circle of sisterhood before midnight. But what if he awakens? Will we be able to hold him down? The girl walked towards a table behind her. She brought a robe and picked up one of the knives and handed it to Sandra. This is why we start with the temple. They don't awaken after that, and you will have the honor to do it today. Sandra took the robe and the knife and bowed in front of the girl. Cole's hand trembled, his eyes wide open in fear. What had he gotten himself into? This chick was part of some crazy woman's cult. Did they plan to sacrifice him? Cole had to get out of here. But how? Cole became frantic. The pain in his head worsened, and his vision became even more blurry. Cole couldn't understand what was happening to him. Why was he feeling so dizzy? So weak? Why was everything going black right in front of his eyes? It's time to commence the ritual. Cole felt something cold, something wet. He heard the ocean waves splashing by the shore. He slowly opened his eyes. Cole was laying on the beachside. He looked around. He was all alone. As soon as Cole jumped up, he felt an immense pain right in the middle of his head. He remembered what happened the previous night. The last thing he remembered was blurry visions of the girls carrying him inside the room. He was laying in the middle of the circle, the candles. The girls were surrounding him. After that, everything went dark. How did he get here? Where was he? And most importantly, what did they do to me? What did they do to me? This is the third time. Dylan recently started taking classes at the BII University. He was a laid-back guy. He was 23. He rented a cozy apartment in San Diego, California, and was enjoying each and every day of his student life at BII. Dylan made many new friends, but there was one person at the college he had yet to introduce himself to. And that was a girl named Amora. She was attractive and presented herself quite eloquently. Dylan had the opportunity to see her give a speech in front of the whole class. Amora knew how to talk, she knew how to walk, and most eye-catching of all was how beautiful she was. She was perfect in every way. Or at least, to Dylan she was. First impressions of Amora made Dylan assume she would be very popular, and before he had a chance to ask her out, there probably were numerous other guys who had bugged her already. But that wasn't the case. Rather, it was the other way around. Dylan noticed that Amora was shy. and tended to speak only when necessary. She sat by herself in class, she ate lunch alone in the cafeteria, and Dylan had never actually seen her hanging out with friends, not even girls. Dylan could understand the girls. They were probably all too jealous to sit by her side. But the fact that it seemed that everyone intentionally went past her or around her, they didn't say hello or even sit for a few minutes to chat, was unusual for a girl like Amora. Whatever the case was, Dylan was planning to introduce himself. Although Dylan himself was a cool guy, he was confident and charming, he felt a little nervous to speak to Amora just because of how all his other classmates behaved oddly around her. It was one day after class, when Dylan was speaking with a classmate, that he casually asked about Amora and wanted his friend's opinion about asking her out. Ask Amora out? I know she's cute and all, but I don't think that's a good idea, unless you're fine with rejection. In that case, go ahead, bro. And I'd be able to tell you, because I've known her since freshman year. She wasn't like this before, but something happened to her all of a sudden during the middle of freshman year. She took the next year off from college. So technically, this is her 5th year here. Girls avoid her, well, because you know how girls can get jealous, but Amora avoids guys because of what happened to her previous 2 boyfriends. As far as I know, she dated 2 guys. One of them was found unconscious on the street in the middle of nowhere, and the other just went sort of crazy. He's at the rehabilitation center now. He keeps screaming, saying he sees things. Nobody knows what happened, and the guys themselves can't explain what happened. But they say one similar thing that is awfully bizarre. They had absolutely no memory or vague memories of where they last were. Ever since then, Amora just gave up on dating. She rejects each and every guy. I don't know what goes on in this girl's head. She's sworn off men. You know how girls can be. Crazy. This is why you don't ask them what's wrong. Nothing's ever fine. Yeah, well, it's time to change her mind. I'm going to talk to her. Keep your fingers crossed. The next morning, Dylan took his chances and sat right next to Amora. Amora was a little uncomfortable at first, but when Dylan introduced himself, she smiled and spoke back. But it was when Dylan started gossiping with her that she became quiet. Dylan could sense that she was trying to avoid talking to him. What's wrong? I hope I haven't bored you out. No, it's not that. You see, I don't think we should really talk too much. Why not? You won't understand. I'm just not comfortable with making new friends. Dylan knew exactly why Amora was being hesitant to speak to him, but Dylan wasn't here to take no for an answer. This girl was making herself miserable and lonely for no reason. Dylan didn't leave her side. He started walking with her in the hallways, sitting with her at the cafeteria, basically filling up that gap she had in her life. It was rather sooner than later, however, that Amora started to dodge meeting up with Dylan. She sat in the back, she took a different route throughout the university, and she stopped going to the cafeteria. Dylan was searching for an opportunity to speak to her, and it wasn't until another few days that he finally got the chance after class. What's wrong with you? Why are you behaving like this? Can't we be friends? I know you've heard about me. I don't want something bad happening to you. I've heard the story, and it's bogus. Nothing like that happens in the real world. There's no such thing as bad luck. There are things that you don't know of. Whatever the issue is, are you planning on being single forever? Are you going to live your life alone and miserable because of a superstition? It took a lot of convincing until Amora did finally give in. Dylan understood why other guys went around Amora. This girl was one tough nut to crack. But there were some things about Amora that Dylan really liked. He couldn't stay away from her. A week or two into their friendship, Dylan took his chances and asked Amora out on a date. Amora took a while to respond, but in the end, she accepted, and the two started dating. Dylan was happy. He enjoyed Amora's company. But ever since that day, he started seeing her regularly, something strange started to happen to him. Dylan got this weird feeling that something was following him. The worst feeling was when he was at his apartment, all alone. It still felt like something was hovering over his shoulder. He found himself flinching and patting his back, feeling like someone was breathing on him. Soon enough, Dylan started to get paranoid. He had restless nights. He constantly woke up to search his apartment, only to go back to bed finding nothing. But it was one day that he spotted something that freaked him out and confirmed all his fears. Dylan woke up in the middle of the night. He felt thirsty and went to grab the water bottle from his dressing table. As he stood there in front of his mirror, he suddenly noticed a shadow move in the reflection. It wasn't his hallucination, because Dylan turned around in a flash, and he was sure he saw something move to the dark corner of his room. Dylan immediately turned on the lights, but he was all alone. Dylan dearly wanted to put off these occurrences as mind games, but when it kept happening, Dylan had no doubt something was watching him when he was asleep at night. He not only felt its presence, he felt it around him. One night, while Amora was over at his place, Dylan shared what was going on with him. It had been long that he kept it a secret, but now things were going over the line. Amora suddenly got anxious. Her hands started to tremble. She looked around, searching for something. "What happened, Amora?" "Dylan, I told you, I warned you, we shouldn't be friends. Now it's coming after you too. It's not safe anymore." "What are you talking about?" "It happened back when I was in freshman year. I had a friend named Sandra that I was really close with. But a few months into the year, Sandra started to get involved with a few other girls and barely had time for me. She started to behave crazy. She couldn't stand being around other guys. And if she ever did, she did it with a purpose. She would always insult men for no apparent reason. I soon came to know that the people she was hanging out with was part of a secret society. The secret society consisted of only women who envisioned a world that would be ruled by their kind. They despised men and wanted to take revenge on them. I don't know what had gotten into Sandra. Perhaps she felt empowered. But I knew something was up. I started spying on her and realized the members of the secret society all met at a specific location every month. I would see Sandra packing strange items in her bag, like candles and a robe, and a strange dust-like material. One night, I decided to follow her. I got confused when she went to that house with another guy from the university. I was with my binoculars on the other side of the street. I was shocked by what they were doing. They were all wearing dark red robes. They made some sort of circle on the ground and lit candles all around the circle. It was after a while that I started to become anxious when I saw the girls dragging that same guy Sandra had come with to the middle of the circle. He was unconscious. They were chanting something around him and placing something from their hands around the circle as they walked around it. That was when I realized something appeared on top of the guy in the middle of the circle. It was a dark figure. I was so far away, hidden, yet I felt so scared. I couldn't take my eyes off of what was happening in there. Just then, that figure turned around. It looked out the window, its hideous yellow eyes staring right into mine through the binoculars. I had no doubt it had spotted me. And I had no doubt it was looking right into my eyes. I ran back home trembling that night. It was since that horrifying night, whenever I tried to date anyone, something horrible happened to that person. Sandra and I drifted off. She's a totally different person now. We don't talk. I stopped dating after that, until I met you. You gave me hope that everything would be fine. It's been long since then. I thought in truth it was perhaps a superstition that I was following, like you said. But I was wrong. I don't want something bad happening to you. If you want, you can break up with me." "Well, we can't let things go on like this forever. What happened to the guy they took there?" "I don't know what happened after that, but I heard the guy woke up stranded on a beach. He didn't know how he got there." "We have to find him. Maybe he can help us get to the end of this mystery." Dylan and Amora were out on a search to find the person who could possibly help them find a solution to their problem. Amora went around the university and asked her old classmates about the guy that woke up stranded on the beach back in freshman year. Most of their classmates remembered the event, but they didn't seem to remember his name, until finally Amora stumbled upon one of his friends, Sam. "I've heard you've been searching for Cole." "Cole? The guy from freshman year that was found stranded on the beach?" Yes, him. Thank you. Could you please tell me where he is? Does he still go to the university? Does he live around here?" "But why are you searching for him all of a sudden?" "To know what really happened to him that night. He graduated last year. He lives close by here in San Diego. He works at the BII Corp. Maybe you can find him there. But let me warn you, he's not like how he used to be. Something happened to him after that night. He totally isolated himself. He stopped dating, didn't hang out much. We used to be best friends, but we grew apart over the years." Amora was shocked when she heard about Cole's sudden change. She was sure he was suffering just like her. He would understand. He was the only person who could probably help. Amora and Dylan went to the BII Corp, where they met Cole. After introducing themselves, Cole invited the two to chat over a cup of coffee. "So tell me, what was urgent? How can I help you two?" "I actually wanted to know what happened to you that night in freshman year. You probably won't recognize me, but you will remember my friend, Sandra. I saw her take you to that house. I was horrified to see you unconscious. I ran away in fear. The next day, I heard you were stranded on a beach. What happened?" "Right. Sandra took me there. I thought we were just going to spend the night together. When I got there, I found out we weren't alone. There were a group of girls there, all dressed in red robes. They had prepared some sort of ritual that they were going to perform that night, and I was the sacrifice. The last thing I remembered before I went fully unconscious was the girls placing me in the center of the circle. When I woke up, I was at the beach by Sunset Cliffs Cave. I returned home from there, happy that the night had passed, but when I went to bed for the night, I don't know how I got there again, but I woke up laying on a field near Sunset Cliffs. And the next night, the same thing happened. There was only one thing I noticed when I woke up there. There were burnt ashes scattered in a circle around me every time. On the first occasion, I thought the ocean waves must have washed the ashes away, but I searched around the area and I was led to a cave in Sunset Cliffs where I found the remains of their ritual, ashes on the ground, candle wax, and a strange smell. I assume perhaps that's where they met, their official sacrifice ground. To be honest, I was afraid that one of those days I would go to sleep and not wake up at all. My roommate said he didn't sense anything happen at night. But this only occurred those 3 times, after which I started leading my normal life again. But that event left a scar. That's why I left dating. I like to keep to myself. But why are you asking me all of this? And how did you see me that night? You see, my friend Sandra suddenly started to behave strange since she joined that secret society. I was worried for her, and I was curious as to what she was really involved in. That night, I was following her, and it led me to witness what happened. I saw something horrific, something otherworldly manifest itself that night. And that dark spirit spotted me. Ever since then, my life has changed. That wicked spirit follows me and tries to harm the people I get involved with. I had no choice but to stop dating. But after so many years, I thought it was over. This is my boyfriend, Dylan. We started dating about a month back, and that dark spirit is back again to haunt me and to harm him. I don't know who else to go to. You're the only person who can help. Cole kept silent for a moment. He then shook his head and sat back. I'll help you. Although I've overcome it, my life has returned to normal. I'd like to get some closure on the matter myself. I know some of the girls who were part of the secret society. We could get more information from them. Cole offered to take Amora and Dylan there. Amora agreed and hopped into Cole's car. Dylan, however, had to get going. He was getting late for an appointment he had. How about I meet you guys later? I have an urgent appointment to get to. Okay, I'll call you. Cole and Amora went straight to the apartment of a former secret society member. She invited Cole and Amora in, and they sat down to chat. When she heard of the secret society, she laughed it off. Oh, that was back in freshman year. We were young and crazy. It was just something we used to do to feel empowered. We were all hurt, our love lives sucked, depressed from breakups. We used to have a little fun bashing and criticizing men. It wasn't anything serious. I'm not part of the society anymore. I left it a long time ago. I've dated a few men after that. I'm currently in a relationship. Cole and Amora headed back to his car. They waited for Dylan to arrive until they could figure out where to go next. So what did you guys find? Nothing yet, Dylan. We met a former member. She said it was a silly trend in freshman year. I really don't know what to do. We have to go back to Sunset Cliffs Cave on a full moon night, right before the clock strikes 12. That's when the girls perform their ritual. Maybe we'll find an answer on the spot. But that's 3 days later. Then we'll meet again soon. Amora and Dylan met with Cole at Sunset Cliffs. Cole escorted the two to the cave. There was no one there. Amora and Dylan walked into the dark cave, trying to spot anything suspicious. Hey, I think I see something. Dylan stooped down to take a closer look at something ashy on the ground. Dylan yelled out in pain as he fell to the ground. Amora cried out as she held her boyfriend and looked at none other than Cole staring at Dylan with a wicked intent in his eyes. What are you doing? Why are you trying to hurt him? Cole started to laugh menacingly. Amora gasped as Cole's humanly form shifted and distorted to something bizarre. Amora now stared at that wicked spirit. Those same yellow eyes staring at her once again, but now face to face, with no escape. Amora's lips trembled. Who are you? How can you not know who I am, Amora? Didn't you realize it yet? You're my bride, and the most special to me of all my brides. You're the only one who stays far away from me. All my brides come to meet me on the full moon, when they perform their rituals to me, for me. My brides all love me. They'll do anything for me. They obey each and every one of my commands, and they are loyal to me. And you, my dearest, yet so distant, you never pay attention to me. You always run away from me. It enrages me to see you with another weakling, another pathetic, mere human being, just like the previous two you were with. Tonight will be the night. It has been long since I've accepted a sacrifice. I crave another soul, and you have brought me a great offering. We no longer will be distant. You will join the rest of my brides, and you will all bow down to me. Amora was petrified. She watched the long claws growing sharper as he approached nearer to Dylan. It was this dark spirit that had harmed her loved ones. No, please, spare him. Just then, Dylan opened his eyes. He gathered his strength and spilled something from a small container onto the dark spirit. It held its face and fell to the ground screaming. "You foul human! What have you done? You've destroyed everything!" Dylan took Amora by the hand. "Run to the car!" Amora and Dylan ran for their lives. They didn't stop a second to look back. Dylan sped off the road. "Dylan, how did you do that? What was that? And how did you know this was going to happen?" "I didn't, but I knew someone that did, and I went to him." I was skeptic about whatever he told me. I wasn't sure if Cole was truly what he claimed until I saw Cole's true form. He truly is a wise, learned man. He holds credentials in these matters. He was the one. It wasn't me. It was him who saved us today. Who? Professor Henry Connery. I'll introduce you to him. After Amora told Dylan about her problem, he knew of only one person who had knowledge of otherworldly affairs. He immediately called up Professor Connery and booked an appointment. But Dylan wanted to meet Cole first. He wanted to get all the information he could before solving this dilemma. He told Professor Connery everything he knew. These secret societies do not realize how powerful these dark entities can be. Professor Connery took out an old journal from his desk and flipped through the pages. I've done my own research over the years. This dark spirit preys on vulnerable women. It enjoys worship from them. He uses them to sustain himself through the offerings they bring to him. In other words, the vessel they bring for him. When they perform the ritual, the dark spirit is able to manifest itself in the vessel, and it has done so in Cole's body. The dark spirit makes these young women believe they are being empowered. In actuality, they are all being mind-controlled to despise men and bring hatred for them, and remain loyal to him. They are his brides. They must perform the great sacrifice every 7 years, when the dark spirit replaces its vessel. Cole's body will soon decay from the evil force that is being contained within. It won't be long before the society performs another sacrifice to replace its vessel. When your girlfriend Amora witnessed that night, she unwillingly became another bride of the dark spirit. But since she hadn't participated in it herself, the dark spirit was unable to control her mind like he does to his other brides. Professor, what can we do about this? How can we get rid of this dark spirit? The dark spirit cannot stand anything that is pure. If you ever fall into danger, use this to protect yourself. You'll be able to save yourself and your girlfriend. Amora kept peering behind her on the road. She let out a breath of relief. They weren't being followed. She leaned back and sighed. Those were long, terrifying years. I can't believe it's finally over. Amora, I'm afraid it's not. All we've done is damage the vessel. Soon the secret society will unite again. They will provide another offering, another sacrifice. They will allow the dark spirit to descend and be reborn in yet another vessel. I don't think he will leave you alone so easily. Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.